everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back. Episode 3 of the Garbage Time Podcast. This time I have my brothers back from Northwestern, Tino Malnati and Charlie Hall, joining me. They were both walk-ons during our time at Northwestern. They both chose to do different things. They took completely different paths after their time in Evanston. And we just talk about the walk-on life. We have a good time. March Madness is among us. The tournament is here. So trying to give you guys a good laugh, also giving you some good insight as well. And I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something along the way as always. If you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe on the channel. I hope you guys enjoy your day. Stay safe out there. Take care of each other. Right, what's going on, y'all? How y'all doing?
Fantastic.
Can't call it.
All right.
Man, y'all boys, man, y'all doing the thing. Charlie on Netflix, Tino out here coaching the boys up. How y'all been?
I'm trying to head over to Chicago and be Tino's assistant coach, though.
Man, everybody is.
I need an assistant.
Sign
I
me
want to
up.
play St. Joe's. Schedule St. Joe's first game.
Sign me up. Well, if that case, I got to go coach St. Joe's then, so I can beat you one more time. But yeah, man, talk about that a little bit, Tino. Like, I know you coaching the freshman B team right now, but
Yeah, so I had another eligibility, so I was looking at places to play in the summer, but just decided with the pandemic and a couple other factors that it just might not be worth it. So I had the opportunity to coach the freshman B team at New Trier, because obviously being a coach, like, you like to plan ahead, but I was planning to play, and then all of a sudden, whatever, one thing leads to another. I'm in square one, and I get this coaching job, and I've had a lot of fun coaching the freshmen. I mean, the COVID years hasn't been as expected. It was a quick 5-week season, but it was just fun being with the kids. They have joy for basketball, but it can be hard to communicate to these freshmen kids sometimes.
I already know it. Charlie, you out here just, you living the life, man. Like, you just got the
I don't know about all
new release out here on Netflix, man. How's that transition been? I know you always been acting, but to finally be taking that step.
Yeah, it's been weird. I mean, it's weird to not be playing basketball. I mean, I still do play basketball all the time, but it's weird to not be doing so like in an organized, competitive fashion outside of my men's leagues that I dominate. But yeah, it's been really fun. Yeah, I just had this movie that I'm going to come out on Netflix, and working on a couple more things. Season 2 of this Hulu show that I'm on here and there, and just like trying to. But yeah, it's been weird during the pandemic, but it's been fun. I love it. It's really fun.
And that's really the first question I wanted to ask both of you. Tino, you obviously got coaching in your blood with your dad, been coaching for a long time. Well, was coaching for a long time. Now he's retired. And then Charlie, your mom and your dad's been in the acting and writing for a long time. So for you two, was it, T, I'll start with you. Was it like a conscious decision, or was it difficult for you at first to, like, I want to make my own lane in coaching? Or are you taking a lot from your dad, or is it like a balance? Like, how are you been able to make that transition?
Well, with the pandemic, you have a lot of time in your thoughts and stuff.
Yeah.
So I've never really known what I wanted to do. I've always like grown up around a coach, so I have an understanding of being a coach. Right. But at the same time, like with Blue Malnati, is like, it's like the family business. I've had an understanding of that. Mm-hmm. So it's like, would I want to do that? Would I want to maybe start my own thing, or would I want to be a coach? And right now, my passion is for coaching. Mm-hmm. And just like growing up with your father as a coach, I'm sure it's the same for Chuck. Like, you understand like what a coach is, like with Chuck, like what it takes to be an actor and actress. Mm-hmm. So I have an advantage there, but at the same time, like you gotta figure it out yourself. You just kind of gotta start, coach a team, and then see if you're good, see where you need to improve on, and just hopefully if you like it, keep working and take it from there.
Yeah, is that the same for you, Charlie?
Yeah, I think it is this. I think I was kind of in the same boat as Tino. Like I never really, until like late senior year of college, and even even post graduation, I wasn't like for sure like, oh, I'm gonna be an actor.
Right.
And I don't think you were for sure I'm gonna be a coach, right, T? Or at least it doesn't sound like that.
No.
Yeah, but I sort of knew it, and then I did this web series, and I knew the business. I knew about acting, and I liked it, and so I just said, all right, I'll try it out, kind of. Right. And then I was lucky enough to get some parts, and I've never felt any like pressure to do it, or even pressure to be good, honestly. Mm-hmm. Like I think my parents have just done a pretty good job of that in general. Like, I don't feel like, oh, I have to be as successful as them or anything like that. I just kind of like do my own thing, but I happen to just really love it. And it probably is a product of me growing up around it.
Right. Yeah. And that's interesting because, a lot of people would think that from, like being babies that you two would want to do these things that your parents do. Sometimes it can have the opposite effect too. So that was interesting for me to just get like how you all have been able to create your own lane, especially in the times that we in now. But for today, it's interestingly enough, is the 4-year anniversary of our game versus Vanderbilt in the tournament, which is a very, very fun time, as you two obviously know. But, just switching gears to Northwestern, like both of you could have thought about playing either lower level basketball or, being a scholarship guy somewhere. But you two, who both have ties in Northwestern, obviously, but chose to take the walk-on route. Charlie, I'll start with you. How did that process go in terms of making that decision of walking on at Northwestern? Like, was it difficult in terms of knowing that you wanted to play basketball, but walk-ons usually don't play as much, or something like that? Was that a hard decision for you, or how did that all play out?
Yeah, it was. It was definitely a hard decision. It was sort of, the decision for me was either like one was be like quickly be a staple guy at a D3 school, like start my freshman year, really play a lot, and I was recruited by a lot of D3s, and then or be a scholarship guy or a guy at an Ivy League at a like a low major or maybe a mid major, but not not be the best player or anything, but get playing time and play, or go to a school like Northwestern and not be on scholarship and probably not play. And the decision for me, it just kind of came down to, okay, I love basketball enough to where I don't think I'm going to mind not playing in the games as long as I am content with the fact that I chose to surround myself with the highest competition possible. That was like basically the deciding factor was, where are the best players, and let me go to them. So what school wants me that has the best players? And so Northwestern was like, hey, look, you're good enough to be on this team. You're probably not good enough to ever play, and we're not gonna pay for you to be here, but you can be on the team. And I was like, all right, Big Ten, and great school too, obviously was a big factor. But yeah, for me, it was just surrounding myself with the best competition.
Yeah. And T, how's that process with you? I know you got ties too, but.
Yeah. So actually, I don't know if you guys remember me in my freshman year, but I was like a stick. I was skinny.
I remember your first pickup.
Oh, let's not talk about that. But, oh man, first pickup. I was probably like 160 pounds, 6'3". But I was smart. I was talented. I could move well, but I just wasn't there physically. So I was looking into some prep schools to like try to get my body ready for the college level, and maybe there play well and you get different college looks, because my body was nowhere ready to play college basketball. But my dad, so he's a coach in the area, and he coached at Loyola University with our assistant coach Armand Gates, who was our assistant at Northwestern he was there for 4 years, I think, but my first 2 years. So he would go to your guys' practices all the time. I'm sure you guys might have recognized him, knew him before you knew me. So he was at one of the practices and was basically just asking him, like, what's the walk-on process? And he said, oh, well, it's hard because first you got to be fortunate enough to be able to afford Northwestern, and also got to be smart enough to get into Northwestern. And fortunately, I was in a position where I was able to had the sufficient scores to get in. Basically, yeah, we'll take them. So it wasn't much of a recruiting process or anything like that. But when I got there was an understanding that I could redshirt my freshman year, and then still work hard and have the potential to play my fifth year somewhere else, because I loved basketball and I wanted to play. So if I went to a prep school, maybe I would have developed more on a team or something at a college, but I wouldn't have got the same education as Northwestern. So it's really hard to pass up that education, as well as being on the team. Like, you put it on your Instagram story today, we were in the greatest team ever. Like, how many people can say that for a school? Like, that was pretty special.
Yeah. And that's, both of you made that point. Like, I really love basketball. I really wanted to play. But as a walk on, and there's been like a select few. I know in our 4 years or 5 years was Nicholas Bear at Iowa was the one that was like a walk on that ended up being playing big minutes. But for the most part, you kind of like the fan favorite. People want you to come in at the end of the game, and in a way, do you feel like that's like a people patronizing you in a way because you're like, man, I want to play. Like I was a good player in high school, like, or did you ever feel like that was a slight in a way, or did you just feed into that over time? Like, how did that all play out?
I personally, I mean, I understood why people did it, and I definitely would have done the same as students. Like, I don't fault them, and I actually, that was one of my least favorite parts. Was like the because I just felt like, because like no one had seen me play, and so like obviously the guys on the team knew like like Tino and I are actually like really good at basketball. Like on a general scale, we're
Right.
like definitely really good at basketball.
Right.
But it felt like spectacly kind of that part of it, just like everyone cheering at the end of the game. So that always made me feel slightly uncomfortable is the wrong word, but I didn't love that aspect of it. I don't know, Tino, if you liked it.
When I was on my high school team and stuff, and you're the best player, like you always cheer for the other guys at the bottom of the bench, like with in, like you try to hype them up.
Right.
So like it makes sense and stuff, but when the whole crowd's like chanting your name or something when you get the ball, it's like, oh god, now I gotta go 1-on-1 against these guys. I haven't ran in 45 minutes or for 2 hours. We're sitting on the bench for 2 hours.
Right.
Like, that's hard, but it's fun.
Yeah.
It's not like you're in a game. Like, it's different. It doesn't feel like real basketball. It's just gonna be like, oh, you're on an island with the whole crowd cheering your name.
Right.
Okay, now you got to score. Like, oh god.
Yeah, the spotlight is on you in a really weird way.
Yeah.
Because you're right. It doesn't feel like real basketball.
Right.
At all. It feels like everyone's just kind of watching you, hoping you like. It's strange. It's really strange.
Yeah, I was gonna say that it's got to be, the pressure got to be crazy, because I remember at Wright State, where I played my 5th year, we had 2 walk-ons, and one was the coach's son. And so whenever they got in, like the coaches literally, and he was like, a pretty stoic guy, but you could tell like inside he's going nuts because he wants his son to score, get a rebound, or get a steal or something. So like, I can only imagine, in the Big Ten at this type of level, being a walk-on, it has to be kind of weird in a way. And that's pretty much why I asked. Like, it's got to be weird to be a fan favorite, but also be like the guy that people are like, they kind of like cheering for you to like contribute in any type of way just because they feel that way about you. So I know it's got to be like, how do you even appreciate all of that when you're trying to play?
At some point, I think the easiest way to do it is try to embrace it. Just try to get your shots up however you can. But that wasn't in my game. I you should be chucking up shots and shots and shots, just embrace the heck out of it. But I didn't get in too many times when we were winning.
Yeah, 100%. And it doesn't fit my game super well, like that idea. Because it's one thing, like if you're like Pat Wallace, like because I know he was a walk on at NC State, and for people listening that don't know, he was a GA when we were there for a couple of years. But he's just like he's just a shooter. Like he could not play basketball for months on end and then come into a gym and jack a shot and like it's got the same chance of going in as if he had been playing every day, kind of thing. But for me, like, I gotta get warm, like I gotta and I'm not even a scorer, like that's not even really what I do. So it was just like, everyone wants me to shoot this 3. I haven't touched a ball in the whole game. My legs are stiff, but it's still fun. You do have to embrace it.
And what was that life like? I mean, a lot of people don't know. The people that don't know just don't know the walk-on life. It's obviously you're part of the team. You're one of the guys in the locker room and stuff like that. But you have, a pretty big workload yourselves, obviously outside of class and all that kind of stuff. But you're also, you're helping out in drills. You're guarding, the scholarship guys full speed. You're part of the scout team, helping us get ready for games. Like, so, how did you all adjust to that life in terms of just everything you had to handle throughout the day for 4 or 5 years?
I mean, it's hard because like during the season with the scout team, you got to get there early. So you're there maybe 45 minutes early for the practice. You're learning plays. So you get out there, you don't even touch a ball to get shots up. You're just running through plays, learn about 10, 15 plays. Then you go through the practice when you're running other teams' plays. So practice is done. And then after practice, most times you'd have to like lift with the red shirt guy after.
Right.
Like typically you're in the weight room trying to, I mean, obviously get stronger personally, but also it's the most of it's to help the red shirt guys or the guys who are injured trying to get back. So you then got to go lift afterwards. Like then you check your phone. It's like 5-6 hours after the practice starts. Damn, like
right.
all this time go, and it's you got to sacrifice a lot of your own abilities because it's not like you're getting there 45 minutes to get shots up, work on your game. No, you're sacrificing for the betterment of the team.
Right.
So you just got to understand that. And if you don't understand that, like if you're more focused on, oh man, maybe like I'm not getting my skills in, but like then you start getting in your head, and then it just goes like you can't think like that. You got to think for the team.
Right. Yeah. Was
that's the biggest adjustment I think is the idea that you're it's very weird. It's like you're going to practice every day and you're not doing it to get yourself better at basketball.
Right.
In the process, you end up getting better at basketball because you're playing,
right.
but you're not, you're emulating the other team during the season the whole time,
right.
which, sometimes gets you better at your game because, I might be playing their 4 who is a hard right driver. It's like I'm left-handed. So it's like, okay, I'm working on my right hand today, but it's just by virtue of being this other guy. So that's a big adjustment. And I really loved it. And Tino was definitely a better walk-on than I was, like in terms of just not, because a lot of it is like, you have to kind of be, background is the wrong word, but you have to be really mistake-free because you're kind of like you're helping the shape of the practice as opposed to sort of being the person that's practicing. And I'm just like more mistake prone than you, T. But like so like you were just like better at that because like I can't watch our plays and memorize it. I have to do them.
Yeah.
Like I have to run them through, and that often presented problems. But yeah, and the time commitment is really gnarly, especially in my last 2 years when I had back surgery, and even before back surgery, I was doing a lot of stuff for my back, and I was getting epidurals and stuff like that. So I would have to go to our trainer and do my back rehab or warm my back up for the pre-practice of learning the team's plays, and then I would go to that pre-practice, and then after that pre-practice, we would start the team's pre-practice of like drills, and then you start the real practice. So it's like I've done 3 or 4 pre-practices before this practice. But it's a grind for sure, but it's rewarding too in its own way.
Yeah, I do have to say this though, Tino. This might be the first time in maybe about 3 or 4 years that Charlie has admitted that somebody is better than him.
Well,
so I just want to.
I told you that before,
but I just want to get that out the way and make sure I ain't hear that wrong. I just want to get that out the way.
Although I mean, I think if we played 1-on-1, I think there's.
He's back. He's back. But,
well, I'm winning.
But so with that schedule, like all 3 of us went through surgeries and the rehab process and all that kind of stuff. But with that schedule and just knowing the pressures that are on you as a walk-on, did you all ever feel like second citizens in a way? Like, did you ever feel like, and obviously you don't have to go into specific examples, but did you ever feel like even though I was a part of the team, I was kind of like it was like the team and then us? Or, did you ever feel that way, or did you always feel like included in everything? Like, if you could think back and, kind of remember that experience.
You might have a different answer to this, Tino, but for me, I felt pretty lucky because I think if you ask I don't know this is just, I'm just guessing, but I think if you ask most walk-ons, like D1 walk-ons, they might say that, or at least some. But I think that really has to do with just the guys on the team. Yeah. And I think like if the guys on the team were asked, then I think I might have felt more like a second citizen, or I might have felt super secondary or not included. Right. But everyone on the team, like we were very much a team in the good years and the bad years, kind of no matter what. It was always like, we were all boys, we were all brothers. So like, I never felt, at least when it comes to the players, that anyone was making me feel like I wasn't part of it. And also no one ever really made me feel like I was like bad at basketball or anything either. I think there was a general understanding that it's like, yeah, we're really good, we're just not quite as good. You know what I mean? It's like just that tiny little.
Yeah. What about you, T?
like in the locker room, on the road trips, in the weight room and stuff, like we're all a team and stuff. But there might be a couple times once a year where like I get in my own thoughts. And, like maybe I'm not in a drill or something. And I'm telling myself like, what the heck are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, but it's probably most by myself, and it only happens a couple of times a year. But as far as the locker room goes, like you're only on the court, what, 2-3 hours a day? You're in the locker room, you're around the guys like the majority of the day. So that, yeah, it wasn't a huge deal, but I'd probably say it depends on your self-talk in that sense.
Yeah.
And also the only time that our responsibilities are super different, and obviously this is a big chunk of time, but is during the season. Because in the off season, we're literally doing the exact same stuff.
Right.
Like there's no difference in terms of when it's individual workouts, everyone gets, whatever, 4 a week or I forget what it was. And you're put with other guys in the team and you do the workout. And we usually you do all those drills. Right. You do them because there's not this huge amount of guys, so they don't need all this help in the drills. Right. They need a couple managers. So in the spring when we're lifting and we're doing Navy SEALs and then we're going to do individual workouts and stuff like that, there was essentially no difference.
Right. Yeah, maybe that's part of it because most of the springs, I think after my freshman year spring, I was injured like every spring. So I was just kind of off to the side doing rehab. So that's probably plays part of it.
Yeah. And I think you two did a great job, just in your roles on the team, just because you two were always a big part of the team bonding process. And that's sometimes a lot bigger than anything you can do on the court. Obviously, Tino, we got a lot of pizza from you, but Charlie, even if it was just kicking it in the apartment, playing video games, watching the movie, whatever, going to the movies, like you two played a big part in that. And that's kind of goes into my next question. As you two got later into your careers, I feel like you two always took, you had a gradual like increase in your ownership of the team. And Charlie, I know for you ended up speaking up a lot more as a senior. Tino, we weren't there obviously for your 5th year when you were a captain, but I mean for your 4th year you were a captain. But how did that process go about? Like, did you ever feel like to yourself like it's time for me to start having a voice on this team, or did you feel like we gave you a chance to have that voice as scholarship players? Like, how did that process all go about, just being around the team and then eventually taking ownership and becoming leaders yourselves?
That was something I definitely wanted to work on. I mean, honestly, I think that as soon as I got there, I sort of thought to myself, like, literally, day one, practice one, a lot of my freshman year was kind of just analysis, just like sitting back and being like, all right, how the f- am I going to be of any impact here?
Right.
And because like my freshman year, I was pretty quiet, like even outside of, I mean, not to you and Aaron and Derek, we were in the same class, but like I wasn't totally being like myself, really outgoing and like joking around and stuff, because I just kind of wanted to see what the team needed and like kind of what the vibe was. And then by senior year, I think I had sort of figured out, it's like, all right, this is stressful 24/7.
Yeah.
It's unbelievably, it's the craziest grind ever. And so I might as well try to, help these guys have some fun here and there. And then once you're, attached to this family and attached to this program, you really want it to succeed and you really want to win. And so you start to use your voice more. I was cognizant of not using my voice too much in practice and in games, just because I know, like when I was in high school and I was the go-to guy, I was the best guy, I would get a little annoyed if, a bench warmer is like, come on, like pick it up, like motherfucker. Like or whatever, that's a little OD. But if you do it every once in a while, then it's, I think there's a time and a place, and I think that I was able to figure that out. And so was Tino, even by like when you were a junior and I was a senior, and then I know you were a captain, which is like super sick.
Yeah. So T, how was that for you? I know, like, like we just said, you were named the captain. So, how was that process for you over the years?
Yeah. So like freshman year, sophomore year, junior year, like those teams were all like relatively pretty old, I believe. So I was freshman year, I was kind of sitting back, learning. I had no idea what was going on.
Yeah.
Just everything is moving so fast. But sophomore year, like you learn a little bit more. Junior year, a little bit more, and then senior year, I kind of look around and like no one's. Like, all my teammates were gone. We had 8 new guys and like 6 returners or something crazy. But I felt confident like in my abilities because you learn so much, and being raised by a coach, like being a coach, like you have to be a leader or else you're not gonna be a good coach.
Right.
So just like I learned so much from my dad through his experiences with players and like just different experiences within the program, outside of the program, around being around basketball. And then you just kind of figure things out from there. Like there's no one right way to lead. There's no wrong way to lead. You just kind of do things your own way. And my kind of sense was, okay, we got half the new guys, half teams are returners. We got to become a team like first.
Right.
So we went on a trip to we went a trip to my lake house in Michigan, like as a team, like bond there, go to Lou Malnati's, bond there. And most of it was outside of basketball, just because when you're not on the court for every single rep, it's hard. Like to try to be there's multiple leaders in every team, but I was just be named one of the captains. And then like during drills or something, if something's not going right for one of the younger guys, like take them aside, try to talk to them that way, calm them down and improve them. Because it's hard to, if you're not on the court during games or during reps, it's hard to like help be a leader. But you got to find your ways and find different niches, and it's all about relationships and like loving one another. Because I believe if you don't like have a relationship, you don't love one another, then no one's gonna freaking listen to you.
Right.
So I was able to love them, they loved me, and then I'm able to connect with them and try to help them and try to lead them through just different types of ways.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it definitely does. And the relationship piece is what I miss the most of, just being in college. Like obviously we all still talk now. We send back memories and stuff. We laugh about things. But what would you two say, if you had to say like, this is the one thing that I miss the most? Because I know through being walk-ons, you two connected with the campus pretty well too. But what would you say like you miss the most about playing in college or just playing in general?
Downtime with the team, I have to say, like just anytime you're, just whether it's a road trip in the hotel room or a movie night or a in the locker room, it's so much fun.
Yeah.
And I actually also really miss game days. I know we had like pretty minimal responsibilities on game days, but game days were really fun, especially the tournament year or years when we had big crowds. That's pretty irreplaceable. So those are my two.
Yeah. What's your T?
Yeah, I mean the tournament year is great. The one thing, like I miss picking on guys in the locker room when like you'd be pissed or something after you had a bad practice, and then Vic or Scotty would say something, and then everyone like that stuff is funny.
Yeah.
Or I was saying something stupid and you would jump on me. Like that, just picking on guys in the locker room was the most fun. That's where a lot of the bonding happened.
It is the 4-year anniversary of the game versus Vanderbilt. We talked about the tournament. And every person I've had on here, outside of Isaiah and Barrett, because that was a different topic, but everybody I've talked to from the team, we've always go back and talk about the tournament. I remember Charlie, when we were playing Gonzaga, we were making that comeback. I might have punched you like maybe 5-6 times. So like, do you guys
still have bruises?
Right, still to this day. Do y'all have any like, obviously, I mean, it's all was great memories, but do you have any like specific things that you remember from that time that you like haven't even talked to anybody about, or is it anything like from that time you like, man, I missed that, or like that was really fun or whatever?
When Greeny did the scout with us, Tino, do you remember that?
Yeah.
That was pretty.
Oh, yeah.
That was pretty great. We were doing scout for that was the Gonzaga scout. Yeah. Is it Gonzaga or Gonzaga?
I don't know. It's like tomato probably.
Gonzaga.
Yeah. Well, so we're doing the scout in the hotel room, and or in the hotel lobby. That's how you. Oh, so we're doing the scout for Gonzaga, and we're in the hotel lobby, and all of a sudden, Mike Greenberg comes, and he's like, "What are you guys doing?" And Coach Gates is like, "We're doing the scout. Come on."
Yeah.
Come on. And he takes over for, I forget who, maybe it was Coach Gates. And he just runs a couple plays with us in the hotel room. And we were dying laughing. And it was just so funny because it's like, dude, this is this huge ESPN guy. And it was also just a reminder like, wow, everyone is here. Like everyone that has anything to do with Northwestern is here. But it was so great to watch him and scout. It was so fun.
Yeah, I don't think anybody had a better time in Utah than Greeny.
It was crazy to see all those like journalists and stuff, like the big time journalists. Like they were more excited than us to be there. Like they were freaking out, like they were little kids. Like the best thing in the world. Like it's pretty cool. Then to the other kids, like these guys were going nuts.
Yeah,
like it was the best thing ever. Which I regret not enjoying it as much as they did back then.
Right. We'll probably enjoy it as much as they do if like they go back or like 30 years later or something.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
We'll be the same way. Charlie, the one moment that I do want to talk about, now this isn't the NCAA tournament, this is a Big Ten tournament moment. And I know you're going to remember what I'm talking about. So we're playing Rutgers in the first round, and we are mopping the floor at Rutgers, and you get some time. So, they're playing it up. They got your mom on the jumbotron, everything, playing it up. And I'm gonna let you take over the story here because I'm sure you can tell it better than I can. But I know you know where I'm going with this.
Yeah, we're playing. I'm feeling good. Like I said earlier in the podcast, usually I'm stiff. This time, feeling warm. Don't know why, but I'm thinking to myself, I'm gonna get a shot, and I'm making it 100%, no question. And I'm wide open on the wing.
How many career points do you have at this time?
0. I haven't scored yet.
Right. Okay. Right. You haven't scored yet. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're excited right now.
I'm excited. I'm like, I'm getting my first points for sure.
Yeah. It's coming.
Because my shot's feeling good. We're at the end of the season, so
I've been shooting a lot. You were playing great.
Yeah. We're playing great. We're playing great.
Yeah.
It's all great. And Nate Tapwarn, who was a key piece to our team, got a lot of minutes that day, I'm sure. Probably at least 15 plus. He gets essentially double teamed at the top of the 3-point line, and instead of passing it to me, he has multiple points in the game. He's made a lot of threes. I'm wide open. He shoots it. And it's one of the most tragic things to happen, I think, in Northwestern history, no question. And he'll never live it down, by the way, because I bring this up all the time.
You should.
Yeah, as I should. But it's kind of nice that I didn't get to shoot it, because now I get to say forever, I get to say, well, I would have made it.
Yeah.
100% I would have made it. So
I'd like to mention this. You can make the argument that was the beginning of like the Charlie Hall, because you had the video that went viral right after.
Yeah, it did end up probably being a net like big positive. That was sort of my yeah, that was the first thing I ever did. That was the first funny thing I ever did for the team, because afterwards I interviewed him as a joke. Like I did just like a satirical interview where I kind of grilled him on not passing to me, and they posted it on YouTube. And then I ended up doing a locker room interview spot, 2 locker room interview spots for like TNT and CBS during the tournament. So it ended up actually being pretty great. And that was my first like funny thing I did kind of publicly. And then I started doing more stuff like that with the team.
But you should definitely take the time and because you tried to shoot him down, and Tino, you came in with the save.
Yeah.
So
that's what I'm here to do. That's what I'm here to do. Save people.
So when Tap sees this, thank you, Nate, for launching Charlie's career.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you've still been, scrapping for the crumbs at the bottom.
Yeah, 100%. No, Tap's the greatest. He started it all. Tap started it all.
As we wrap up here, I do want to ask. I ask everybody at the end of the show, from both of you, if there's a walk-on, a high schooler who's thinking about, in the same position as you two, or, somebody who's maybe struggling with, being a player and now transitioning out of being a player, anything like that you can keep in mind, a piece of advice that you would give somebody who's coming up, kind of following you two's footsteps. So T, I'm gonna put the pressure on you, but you can set the tone here.
Put the pressure on me. Put the pressure on me.
Here. What's your piece of advice?
Well, for me, so I was trying to be a coach, but also like in the summer I was looking at being a player and continuing with my 5th year. But after 4 years of college, like it's a lot of basketball, and I wasn't loving playing the game. So it kind of came down to like, maybe with the pandemic it hurt too, because I wanted to get a bunch of runs in with just like at the park or something, try to enjoy the game, but I couldn't do that. And I wound up loving the game just like through coaching, maybe step aside from playing. Like if you like basketball and you had a good career, like you always want to love the game.
Right.
So maybe it's not professionally, you go overseas and it doesn't work out or something. Like, find a way to love the game. So that's, as a coach, I love the game. I'm enjoying basketball. Where like last spring and at the end of my career, like it became a little bit of a drag, just it's long 4 years. And then, yeah, so for me, just love basketball, find a way to love basketball, enjoy it. And then if you want to be a walk-on or like a prospect, or you're ending your high school career, there's a lot of like sacrifices you have to make, and you have to understand that before, before you make the jump into college basketball.
Right. All right, Mr. Hall. Tough act to follow.
Yeah, find a way to love the game. I mean, that's pretty damn good.
I mean, the Garbage Time podcast, you need to bring your best stuff. I was preparing for a couple days.
I guess this is advice for anyone that's planning on or thinking about being a walk-on, or at least going to a place where they don't think they're going to play. My advice is sort of twofold. It's one, even if you don't play, I promise you have value somewhere, and it's your job to find it. And it's different for everyone. Right. Mine happened to be like, I was hosting movie nights, and that was, like that was, and it helped. And so just find the thing that you can do that can help the team. And no matter what your position is, there always is something, and it's always truly important.
Good stuff.
Yeah, it's good stuff, man. Hey, you two, we've been trying to get this about a week or so now, but I definitely appreciate you two taking the time in your busy schedules, whether you're scouting somebody or you're sending in auditions. I definitely appreciate you too, man. And I love you two for life. So, man, I appreciate it, man.
I miss you, bro. You need to come out to Cali soon, dude.
Man, I'm coming.
Way too long.
I'm coming this summer. Yeah, well, hopefully this summer. I'm coming.
Much love, bro. Much love. Miss you guys.
Appreciate y'all.